Stop thinking of American cyber power as a single force. It isn't. We're often told that the United States fights its digital wars with a monolithic army of hackers behind a single firewall. That's a convenient fiction. The reality is a sprawling, messy ecosystem of agencies and commands that often fight over jurisdiction as much as they fight the enemy. From the units that treat cyberspace as a domain of conflict, to the spies who see it as a library of secrets, to the federal agents who view it as a crime scene, this is the complete, declassified roll call of every major unit in America's shadow army that we know of. In the United States military, there's a strict hierarchy of power. Most units answer to a commander, who in turn answers to a general, who answers to another general. But at the very top of this pyramid, there are organizations known as Unified Combatant Commands. These are the headquarters that run entire wars, and they answer directly to the Secretary of Defense and the President. United States Cyber Command is one of them. Located at Fort Meade, Maryland, this command sits on the same level of authority as Central Command, which runs wars in the Middle East, or Special Operations Command, which controls the Navy SEALs. Its commander is a 4-star general, and their job is to treat cyberspace as a domain of war, exactly like land, sea, air, and space. They coordinate the entire Department of Defense's cyber operations, synchronizing attacks so that a hack in Syria doesn't accidentally shut down a hospital in Germany. If Cyber Command is the brain, the Cyber National Mission Force is the fist. This is the unit responsible for the highest priority mission, which is defending the nation. The CNMF are the hunters. Their entire philosophy is based on a doctrine called Defend Forward. The CNMF deploys elite teams on hunt forward operations, and they fly to foreign allied countries like Ukraine, Estonia, Croatia, or Lithuania, and physically sit on their networks. They hunt for Russian or Chinese malware in these foreign grids, analyzing it and neutralizing it before it can ever cross the Atlantic to strike the United States. They are the proactive, offensive, defensive force. While the National Mission Force is busy defending the homeland, another massive force is looking outward. This is the Cyber Combat Mission Force, the critical missing piece that most people misunderstand. They're attached directly to the regional combatant centers, the generals running the wars in the Middle East, the Pacific, or Europe. These units are commanded by elements called Joint Force Headquarters Cyber. Their job is to clear the digital path for conventional warfare. If the US Marines are about to storm a beach in the Pacific, these teams are responsible for hacking the enemy's radar systems to blind them. If the Air Force is launching an airstrike, they're jamming the enemy's communications so they can't call for backup. Complementing the offensive forces operating abroad is the Joint Force Headquarters Department of Defense Information Network. This unit is responsible for the internal defense of the military's global network infrastructure. The Department of Defense operates one of the largest computer networks in the world, encompassing millions of devices, weapon systems, and satellites. This unit functions as the operational defender for this vast terrain. They conduct defensive cyber operations to neutralize threats that have breached the perimeter. If a hacker infiltrates a Pentagon server, this unit is responsible for identifying the intrusion, isolating the threat, and purging it from the system. Every branch of the military contributes forces to this fight, but they all do it differently. The Army's contribution is Army Cyber Command, based in Fort Gordon, Georgia. Their speciality is information warfare and land-based operations. They integrate electronic warfare into their cyber teams. They're jamming enemy radios, intercepting drone control signals, and dominating the electromagnetic spectrum. They ensure that when an army brigade moves, the enemy's sensors see nothing but static. The Navy's contribution is the legendary 10th Fleet. Historically, the 10th Fleet was the anti-submarine warfare unit that fought the German U-boats in World War II. It was deactivated after the war, only to be reactivated in 2010 to fight in the new domain of the digital ocean. The Navy dominates signals intelligence and space capabilities. Because the Navy operates globally on the high seas, far from fiber optic cables, they're masters of intercepting and protecting satellite communications. If a hacker tries to jam a destroyer's GPS or intercept a carrier group's communications, they answer to the 10th Fleet. The Air Force took a unique approach by merging its cyber and intelligence wings into one massive entity called the 16th Air Force. Specializing in information warfare, they control the Air Force's global network of sensors comprising of spy planes, drones, and satellites, and use them to hunt for electronic targets. Once a target is found, they might launch a cyber attack to shut down an enemy radar, or jam a communication signal, or drop a good old-fashioned bomb. By fusing digital hacking with physical surveillance, they treat cyber operations as just another form of precision air power. The Marines are an expeditionary force that is first to fight and always moving. Their cyber unit reflects that ethos. They focus on the tactical edge and deploy with Marine expeditionary units. Their job is to hack the local networks, including Wi-Fi cell towers and local power grids, in the immediate vicinity of a beach landing or a ground assault. They clear the digital path for the infantry. The Coast Guard is unique because it's a military branch, but it sits under the Department of Homeland Security in peacetime. Its Cyber Command has a unique and critical authority, protecting the marine transportation system. Think about the Port of Los Angeles or the Port of New York. These are the economic hearts of America. If a hacker targets the crane operating systems or the shipping logs of a commercial port, the Navy cannot legally intervene because it's a domestic law enforcement issue. But the Coast Guard can. They're the only military unit with the legal jurisdiction to defend commercial shipping infrastructure in domestic waves. Then there's the one everyone forgets, the newest player on the board. You can't hack a satellite if you can't talk to it. Space Delta 6 is the Space Force's cyber operations unit. Their mission is satellite control network defense. The US military relies on a multi-billion-dollar network of data links to keep its GPS, missile warning, and spy satellites online. If those ground stations are hacked, the satellites become useless metal bricks. Space Delta 6 defends the invisible uplinks and downlinks that keep the military's eyes open. If they fail, the entire war machine goes blind. Inside the National Security Agency, hidden behind layers of classification, lives the legendary unit known as Tailored Access Operations, now often referred to simply as Computer Network Operations. These are master thieves. They're responsible for computer network exploitation, and they steal secrets, map infrastructure, and plant the digital beacons that the military will eventually use for targeting. They're the ones who figure out how to hack a specific model of firewall used by an enemy military, or how to bypass the encryption on a troublesome diplomat's phone. They build the tools that the rest of the government uses. For a long time, the CIA lagged behind the NSA in the cyber world. In 2015, they underwent a massive reorganization to fix that, creating the Directorate of Digital Innovation. Housed within this directorate is the Center for Cyber Intelligence. The difference between the NSA and the CIA in cyber is simple. The NSA hacks signals and machines, while the CIA hacks people. This unit specializes in close access operations. Sometimes you can't hack a server from Fort Meade because it's air-gapped and not connected to the internet. To hack that, you need a human being to walk into the building and physically plug a thumb drive into the server. That's the CIA's job. They also manage the digital legends of their spies, ensuring that when a case officer lands in a hostile country, their fake digital history holds up against biometric scrutiny at the border. The Defense Intelligence Agency is often overlooked in cyber discussions, but they run one of the most important labs in the world called the National Media Exploitation Center. The DIA is the master of foreign material exploitation. Their job is digital forensics on a national scale, and they take captured enemy hardware, such as laptops from a terrorist safehouse, or a guidance chip from a downed Iranian drone, and they reverse engineer it. They find the digital breadcrumbs that tell us who built the malware, where it came from, and what they're planning next. They're the forensic pathologists of cyber war. The military can't legally operate inside the United States. That's the turf of the FBI cyber division. They investigate cybercrime, ransomware, and terrorism, but don't mistake them for just police officers filing out reports. They have a cyber action team. This is a rapid response force that can deploy globally within hours. If a major US corporation is hit by a devastating state-sponsored attack, these agents secure the scene, preserve the evidence, and hunt the perpetrators. Then there's the CISA, part of the Department of Homeland Security. CISA is the National Coordinator for Critical Infrastructure Security. They're the ones who interface with the private sector. They talk to the owners of power plants, water systems, hospitals, and banks. Their job is to take the scary intelligence found by the NSA and the FBI and turn it into actionable warnings for the public. They help civilian companies patch their vulnerabilities before the enemy can exploit them. So, the next time you hear cyber war, forget the lone hacker in a hoodie. It's a machine. It's the most complex, expensive, and lethal cyber apparatus in human history, and it's operating right now in the shadows every single day. But what do you think? Is this massive apparatus necessary to defend against modern threats, or has it become too bloated to be effective? Does the sheer number of overlapping agencies make us safer, or just create more bureaucracy and invasions of privacy? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something new.